It's 1981. I'm sitting in the chair in a psychologist's office for a counseling session, and my life is about to be changed forever. So, I come from a family with 13 children, and I'm one of the younger ones, but I was the oldest child at home at the time. And my dad was a good person, a really good person. But in 1981, when people started to suffer from psychiatric problems, there wasn't much help, or at least it wasn't very accessible, it wasn't very well known, and it wasn't very accepted by a 61-year-old man. So he had become quite not himself, and he was getting very violent, very violent. And as the oldest son at home back in those days, I was supposed to be taking care of everyone else, and it wasn't going well. So I had decided at one point that on a certain day, either dad was going to be in the hospital by a certain day, and I was going to do everything I could do to get him there. And getting someone in the hospital was not an easy thing, especially against their will back in those days, especially, or I was going to kill him and turn myself in because what was happening at home was not going to continue. Well, thank God dad was in the hospital. And when he went in the hospital, obviously with that kind of trauma going on, every doctor in the hospital said, "You are you have to go see a counselor. You have to get some help. This has to be very traumatic to your life." And that's what put me in that chair at that psychologist's office. And the first session, we had just gotten to know each other a little bit, and I had talked a little bit about my dad's illness and things along those lines, which was not even diagnosable back then. But this was the second session, and I sat there and was talking about my life for the last 2 years and what had been happening. And really, it had been going on much longer than that, but had gotten decidedly worse in the last few years. And this went on for about 15 minutes, and finally, the counselor, the psychologist, I'm not sure which, um, he stops me and he says, "Dan, have you noticed that I'm not writing anything down?" And he holds up this blank yellow pad, and I should have one in my hands, but I don't. And there was nothing written on it. And he goes, "I'm not writing anything down. Do you know why?" I said, "I have no idea." And he goes, "Because nothing you're telling me, nothing that's happened in the past, nothing that anyone's done to you gives you any excuse or for what you do today. Every day you get out of bed and your day is a blank sheet of paper and you alone are responsible for what gets written on that sheet of paper. Just because you were treated bad in the past is not an excuse for you to say anything to anybody that's bad, to do anything, to do any less than your best. None of that's an excuse. You're 18 years old. It's on you. Okay?" And he was dead serious about it. He goes, "You and you alone." He says, "What's written on that page every single day on that blank page is up to you. You can hand the pen to somebody and you can let them write on it, but that's on you too because you gave them the pen." He goes, "You control what's on every single page of every single day, and your life is made up of a binder of those pages, one after the other after the other. And everything that happens to you or other people do to you, none of that puts takes that pen out of your hand and changes the responsibility for what you say and what you do. It's on you." I was floored, as you can well imagine. That's not what we're expecting to hear from someone. We don't hear that today either. But that's the truth.